So, Rod Liddle, you say, let's just wipe out anyone with diversity in their job title. Not wipe them out as human beings, but wipe out their jobs and spend the money on something better. Because let's be honest, the NHS has a lot of better uses of those £70,000 salaries.
Yeah, that's £70,000 for one National Health Service trust. And there are 200 National Health Service trusts. So we're talking about, just within the National Health Service, 14 million quid. And throughout our industry, both in the private sector, but particularly the thing I'm worried about is the public sector. We're spending more and more money on this. I suppose we should be pleased, because we've always needed a growth industry, and this seems to be our biggest growth industry for many a decade. But when I describe it as toxic waste, it sounds a bit extreme. And good Lord, I'd hate to be thought of as being extreme. But I mean it, and I mean it literally. Because it is toxic in that it really does create divisions between people, and it's waste because it's a waste of money. And when I say it creates divisions, if you have a look at what June Sarpong has done at the BBC, for example, well, the latest innovation was to give employees something called the Ally Track. I think that's the way to pronounce it, Ally Track, which was a competition. And all the BBC employees, all the James and Olivia, which is the name of everybody who works in the BBC, had to take part in this. And basically, it was meant to show how you got ahead much more easily if you were a white, straight male than if you were anything else other than a white, straight male. So you move forward 3 paces if you're white. You move forward 5 paces if you're a man. You move forward 7 paces if you're a straight white man, etc. And so at the end of this race, you get round to look at your privilege, to accept your privilege, and to accept that other people are less well treated than you. And of course, within the BBC at this moment, it's a downright lie. Because there are jobs within the BBC which are advertised for ethnic minorities only. So quite clearly, if you are white, you are not going to get any of those jobs. So you are behind at that. And also it's been revealed that it was revealed in a study last year by the Creative Diversity Network that gay people and black people and all ethnic minorities were massively overrepresented on the BBC. So, I don't mind whether they are or not particularly. What I'm saying is that what June Sarpong is suggesting is an actual lie, and that the reverse is true. And what all this does is it sows division, rancor and resentment between all of us who have to work together in this country, to try and get along. It makes things a lot worse. And suggesting that they should be, deported to a Scottish island. There are lots of Scottish islands up for sale, and I found one, and it seemed to me to suit them.
How much is it?
And it's only 500 grand, mate.
Oh, not bad. Not bad for an island.
It's not bad for an island, and it's massive. It's about 19 acres. So they could live in tents, and they could practice their diversity stuff on the seabirds. They could lecture gannets on their white privilege, and then sympathise with cormorants, presumably. It's become an absurdity, but more than that, it's become a lie.
Yeah, and but Rod, one of the big issues that I have in particular is, and I know you say it refers to the BBC, but it refers to the NHS as well. Again, if you look at the ethnic breakdown of the NHS, this is probably one of the most diverse organisations in the UK. Black people, Asian people, massively overrepresented in the NHS, which is great, but this is not an organisation that has any concerns about diversity.
No, that's absolutely right. And incidentally, on one other subject, when we talk about, diversity within organisations, there is no organisation which is more diverse than the NHS. The BBC is there as well, but the NHS is incredibly diverse. One of the interesting things is, and it's on a different subject, I grant you, but when you study what people actually do within the NHS, though it's got the greatest equality between men and women of any institution in this country, the women always gravitate to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 branches of the NHS, and the men still gravitate to the other 5, 6 or 7 or 8 branches of the NHS. So the greater the equality, the more the differentiation. You know, and this is all about exploding the lies of they're not lies. They are lies, but they're well-meaning lies in a way, in that the liberal left wishes us to be something that we're not, and it perpetuates this idea that people are discriminated against, and that's why they don't get jobs and so on. And it's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. And the BBC Ally Track thing demonstrates that amply. It's just an absolute, complete lie.
Rod, I want to bring in my superstar panel. Let me introduce you. It's the comedian Abby Roberts, the former SAS trooper Phil Campion. But I'm going to kick off with the author and broadcaster Amy Nicol. Amy, do you disagree with Rod?
Well, you know, I've said before that I do feel that understanding diversity is probably the biggest key to progress in any workplace or profession. But these job titles, equality and diversity officers, right? So very recently, a woman actually lost a job because she couldn't pick up her children on time. She took it to court. She won £185,000 in compensation. Now, that suggests that there wasn't much equality and diversity and a need, in my opinion, for jobs like this. So what do you say to that case?
Well, first of all, Amy, I'd like to say that I agree with you entirely about the need for caution on lockdowns and COVID. And you were a minority voice there, and I was totally on your side.
But when it comes to this...
No one's ever said that to me on this show.
No, I think you're right. But I don't think you're right on the diversity stuff, because, as you quite rightly say, it was taken to a tribunal, and she won. You know, we have these mechanisms in place already.
But it wouldn't have gone to the tribunal, would it? If we'd had that in place, that would have never happened with an understanding of what we needed in that workforce.
No, but in which case you're replacing tribunals with billions of pounds being spent on people to stop that sort of thing happening. I'm not saying that discrimination doesn't take place anywhere in Great Britain. Of course it does. I'm sure it does. Quite clearly at the BBC, discrimination takes place particularly when it comes to employing white male people.
Especially if you're straight, Rod. Especially if you're straight.
Especially if you're straight, Dan. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I was talking to a very, very liberal lefty bloke from Newsnight a year or so ago, who was, and he was called James, as everyone by law at the BBC is called, if they're a male, or identify as a male. And he was in despair. You know, he said, I just do not see a future for me in here, because there is no job I can go for that I won't be beaten to, not because of whether I'm good or not, but because simply I've got the wrong colour skin and I have the wrong gender and I'm straight, you know? And I think all this stuff sows enormous division. And when I think back to my time at the BBC, and I had an enormously diverse workforce working for me at the Today programme. And if any of those people, those brilliant journalists like Gordon Carrera and Zubaida Malik and Raphael Rowe, all of whom went on to win great awards, had thought that they were there because they were from an ethnic minority or because they were gay or whatever, they would have been appalled. They were taken on because they were brilliant. They were brilliant. And that's the point I'm trying to get at, you know?
No, I understand. Phil Campion?
Yeah, I think I absolutely back you up there, buddy, because, look, I come from the military, as you know, right? And if I'm, say, a platoon commander and I'm looking for a lance corporal driver to do a job anywhere, doesn't matter, that's just an example. I'm a platoon commander, I need a lance corporal driver. I don't care what colour you are, I don't care. All I care about is that you have the qualifications to do the job and you can do the job, all right? I don't care what colour you are, what sex you are, and that the military is so inclusive of everything nowadays that to stick a diversity person in there would be almost sort of like breaking something that doesn't need fixing, wouldn't it? You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's incredible, isn't it? So, 70 grand a year and all. In how many positions did you say? Totalling up to about £14 million that could be spent somewhere elsewhere. Incredible, absolutely incredible. I mean, good work if you can get it, obviously, but do you know what I mean? That's insane. So I'm with you there, buddy. I'm absolutely 100% on side. And like I say, representing the military just don't have it. You're either a soldier or you're not a soldier. Do you know what I mean? The same in boxing clubs as well, to be honest. If you go to a boxing club and I need a lightweight to fight another lightweight, so long as they're the same ability, we'll match them up and they'll fight. Do you know what I mean? It's the way it works. I don't look at the colour of your skin. I don't look at the religion you are. I don't care what you dress like at the weekend. That's up to you. Do you know what I mean? That's up to you.
But that's where I think you're dead right, mate, because all of this stuff started with the middle classes. It's a middle class thing to do. And I can remember, I'm a supporter of Millwall Football Club. And we often get a bad press. We get a bad press, within the middle class press. We get a really bad press.
But being Millwall, you don't care either, right?
No, they love it.
Well, back in the 1970s, Millwall had black players, and Millwall had black fans, and they all mixed together, and no one worried about it. And that was at a time when The Guardian and the BBC was whiter than a Ku Klux Klan dinner party. So the working class are able to get on and to sort of obviate those specious differences between us. We all work together. It's when the middle class get involved, hand-wringing and whining and perpetually cringing. That's when the trouble arises.
That's it. That's exactly where they come from. They want to dip their toe in the paw puddle, and when they do, all they want to do is stir it up.
But if I was going to
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
If I was going to whine, it's World Afro Day today, and I heard a statistic that 80% of people from the BAME community, they say that they've experienced some level of racism or microaggression. So that suggests to me there's work to be done in this area.
I don't say that there isn't work to be done in that area. And whenever anybody's complaining about being abused, of course there's work to be done in that area. But what we are saying is having a diversity officer makes it worse, not better.
And Rod, you don't like this term microaggression, which is used all the time now?
Yeah, I don't know what microaggressions are. I come from a time when there really was racism in this country, which was why I was one of the founding members of Rock Against Racism. I don't know if you all remember Rock Against Racism, but back in the 70s, I was one of the founding members. I started up a branch in Middlesbrough of Rock Against Racism, which is where I came from. I loathe racism, cannot abide it. But what we these days think of as racism doesn't seem to me to be racism. Yeah. It seems to me to be something entirely different, and which only a Guardian journalist could possibly consider being racist.
Rod Liddle, it was fascinating as ever. Of course, the Spectator is out tomorrow with your brilliant column, which I've had a sneak peek of. So
Thank you, Dan.
I recommend everyone goes and buy it. Rod Liddle,
I still agree with Amy on COVID.
Yeah, I know. I know you do. I know you do.
We'll talk about that next time.
We'll talk about that next week, and that might get fiery. Rod Liddle, thank you so much.